Welcome to Gate of AI. Today's tutorial is Advanced Workflow Automation with TypeScript and the OpenAI Agents SDK. Now, this one is special. We're going to take a peek into the future, really explore what it might be like to build with these next-gen tools that, well, they don't even exist yet. So think of this as a kind of conceptual walkthrough, a bit of a what if. So, here's the game plan. We're going to work through what it might look like to build a really sophisticated AI agent using these, hypothetical tools like a 2026 era OpenAI Agents SDK and a model like GPT-5. The whole point here is to get beyond the simple scripts we use today and really imagine what true autonomous workflow orchestration could look like. Okay, let's just dive right in. To really get why this concept is so powerful, we first need to wrap our heads around the problem it's designed to solve. I mean, think about it for a second. How much of your time, right now, is spent on manual code reviews, security checks, and just analyzing deployments? These are the bottlenecks, right? They slow everything down and, honestly, open the door to human error. We're talking about leaving all of that behind. And this is the conceptual solution. We're imagining a system where an AI agent can dive deep, conduct code analysis, run verification checks, and do it all with pretty much zero latency. So the real game changer, the crucial point, is the shift from just writing simple scripts to engineering genuine autonomy. All right, so before we even think about touching the code, let's imagine what our development environment would even need to look like for this kind of, future-forward project. So yeah, this is definitely a more advanced concept. So we're going to assume you're already comfortable with a pretty recent version of Node.js. And in our little hypothetical world, you'd absolutely need high-tier API access. Why? To tap into the crazy power of a next-gen model like GPT-5 for its advanced reasoning. That's the secret sauce. To get started, you'd run a command that looks something like this, pulling in all the necessary tools. And what would make a future SDK like this so incredibly powerful is that it would have native support for these next-gen reasoning models. That's where the agent's real brain power comes from. And of course, some things never change, right? You'd still need to set up your .env file with your OpenAI API key and your organization ID to make sure all your requests are authenticated. All right, with our conceptual setup all done, let's get to the fun part and see how we'd actually initialize the agent's core intelligence. Okay, so the choice of model and parameters here is absolutely critical. We're using a hypothetical GPT-5 preview model, and we're choosing it for its imagined, super advanced reasoning capabilities. And just as important, we're setting the temperature to 0. This makes the agent's responses deterministic and predictable, which is an absolute must-have for any kind of reliable, enterprise-grade automation. And here's the code that would actually bring it to life. And look how clean and simple it is. We just import the agent class from this future SDK and create a new one, passing in our API key along with those super important model and temperature settings right into the constructor. Okay, so we've got the agent's brain initialized. That's great. But now we need to give it some tools so it can actually interact with the world and, a clear mission to accomplish. Now, this is a key concept, and honestly, it's so cool. I want you to think of a skill not as just a simple function call, but as a completely self-contained tool in the agent's toolbox. The agent itself would be smart enough to decide when and how to use a particular skill, all based on its own internal reasoning and the task it's been given. And here's exactly how we would define one. See, we're creating an advanced code review skill. We give it a name, a really clear description so the agent knows what it's for, and then an execute function that holds all the actual logic. Okay, so if skills are the tools, then the workflow is the blueprint. It's what defines the high-level goal for the agent. It provides the sequence or the structure of the tasks it needs to complete. And you can see it in the code right here. We're defining a super simple one-step workflow called prod deployment check. And its only step? To use that code review skill we just created. This basically tells our agent, hey, your goal is to perform a production deployment check. And your first step is to use your advanced code review skill. Simple as that. Now this is a fantastic insight, even in a hypothetical world. For anyone out there building for production in the future, this is absolutely crucial. See, the advanced reasoning of a GPT-5 level model could introduce totally new error types, like a reasoning timeout. So building a really robust system means you've got to wrap your workflow calls in a try-catch block to handle these things gracefully. Great tip. Okay, we've defined the agent, we've given it skills, we've set its mission. Now for the really exciting part. Let's imagine running this thing and actually seeing it in action. Just a quick technical note here. To make sure everything runs perfectly with the modern architecture of a future Agents SDK, we'd probably execute our script using the ESM loader for TS Node.
So this is the command you'd pop into your terminal. And when you hit enter, you can just imagine the output, right? The logs would show the agent spinning up, executing that advanced code review skill, and finally returning a verified status. And that's it. That's our autonomous workflow completing successfully. How cool is that?
What we've just conceptualized here is a really powerful foundation, for sure. But honestly, it's just scratching the surface of what could be possible with this kind of technology. And this is why this matters for the future of development. You could expand an agent's capabilities like exponentially. Imagine integrating it with a multimodal model to perform visual UI analysis, not just looking at code. Or what about hooking its event stream into a WebSocket to build a real-time dashboard that literally visualizes its decision-making process? You could even orchestrate a whole fleet of these agents across platforms like GitHub, Jira, and Slack. The possibilities are huge. This kind of technology could really open up a whole new frontier for automation, moving us way beyond simple repetitive tasks and into tackling these complex, high-reasoning challenges. So the real question I want to leave you with is, what will you build with it? Thank you. Please visit our website for more information, gateofai.com.